TomoNews presents Rhinos.
Czech zoo removes rhinos' horns. A zoo in the Czech Republic will dehorn its rhinos to protect the animals from poachers. The drastic move comes in response to a brutal attack at a French zoo last week when poachers killed a white rhino, then tried to hack its horn off with a chainsaw. The zoo in the central Czech Republic said it will first administer an anesthetic before cutting the horns of its 18 adult rhinos. With the rhino's eyes and ears covered, a chainsaw will cut horizontally into the horn to remove it. Rhino horn is made of a fibrous protein called keratin, the same substance humans produce in our nails and hair. When the horns are removed, the zoo will file the sharp edges to smooth them down. Last week, poachers killed Vince the white rhino at a zoo near Paris, but failed to get away with his horn. Rhino horn sells for around $60,000 per kilo on the black market, making it more expensive than gold or cocaine. Most of the demand comes from China and Vietnam, where rhino horn is prized for its supposed, but completely unproven, value as an aphrodisiac and ingredient in traditional medicine.
Rare Sumatran rhino gives birth. An endangered rhino has given birth, and it was caught on camera. The 14-year-old rhino named Ratu gave birth at the Sumatran Rhino Sanctuary in Indonesia. The video begins with the rhino prepping for delivery. Ratu actually has experience in this area. She gave birth to her first calf in 2012. The male, named Ratu, was the first rhino birth in captivity in Indonesia in 124 years. Then the video cuts to... Yep, that's what a rhino looks like being born. Surprisingly purple. According to the International Rhino Foundation, the female calf weighed in at 45 pounds, or 20 kilograms, and looks healthy and active. Only an estimated 100 Sumatran rhinos remain, mostly on the island of Sumatra, and several are in captivity. The birth is a significant success for efforts to save the endangered species. Congrats, Ratu!
Rhino chases villagers through southern Nepal town after escaping wildlife reserve. Nepali crowds in Hetauda ran for their lives Monday, scattering and climbing balconies to evade a wild rhinoceros that had escaped from a wildlife reserve. The Parsa Wildlife Reserve in southern Nepal reportedly has no fences, so the enormous one-horned rhino made the 12-ish mile journey to a town in the Makwanpur district. Villagers scrambled to get out of the animal's path and then, naturally, posted videos to social media. Several videos show the rhino, which can run up to 34 miles per hour, chasing down motorists. Efforts to scare the rhino off with car honks and drums didn't work, and unconfirmed reports say at least one woman died and 6 others were injured. If only this were just a scene from Jumanji.
Zookeeper injured after being trampled by rhino. A zookeeper who was seriously injured after getting trampled by a 2-ton rhino at the Whipsnade Zoo is in stable condition after surgery. It is believed the zookeeper in his 50s was feeding the animals inside the Asian rhino enclosure when a greater one-horned rhino, believed to be named Ajang, suddenly turned on him. Ajang trampled, gored, and stamped on the keeper before leaving him immersed in a wallowing pool. Colleagues rushed to his aid and found him immersed in water and helped him out. The keeper was treated at the scene by paramedics for injuries to his chest, abdomen, and pelvis before being transported to the hospital. An investigation is underway to find out what happened. Doctors said he is now out of surgery and his condition is stable.
Poachers sneak into zoo and saw off white rhino's horn. A young male white rhino at a zoo just outside of Paris suffered a gruesome death in a place where he was thought to be safe. The night of March 6th, poachers broke into the Thori Zoo through the rear entrance and made their way to the white rhino enclosure. There, they found 4-year-old Vince, who had arrived at the zoo from the Netherlands in 2015. Without wasting any time, they put 3 bullets in Vince's head, slaying the massive animal. The poachers then used a chainsaw to saw off Vince's horn, which is potentially worth up to $60,000 on the black market. The poachers began to hack off the dead rhino's second horn, but didn't finish the job, either due to mechanical failure or a disturbance of some kind. The 2 other white rhinos at the zoo, 37-year-old Gracie and 5-year-old Bruno, managed to escape the same bloody fate. This is believed to be the first time a rhino has been attacked and killed at a zoo in Europe. Rhino horns are coveted for traditional Asian medicines, as they are said to act as an aphrodisiac. There are only an estimated 21,000 white rhinos remaining on Earth.
Last male northern white rhino is looking for love. Biologist Daniel Schneider tweeted this photo with the caption, "Want to know what extinction looks like? This is the last male northern white rhino. The last, nevermore." Sudan is one of the 3 northern white rhinos left in existence. The other 2 are his 23-year-old daughter Najin and his 17-year-old granddaughter Fatu. In 2009, the rhinos moved to the Ol Pecheta Conservancy in Kenya from the Czech Republic in hopes that being in their natural habitat would help them breed. Unfortunately, neither of the females can naturally reproduce, and Sudan has almost no little swimmers left. White rhinos can live to 50 years old, but most of them kick the can at around 40. Sudan is 43, so the clock is ticking in overtime. There still may yet be hope. Conservationists are trying to raise $1 million for fertilization techniques with a GoFundMe campaign called Make a Rhino. Sudan is also being proactive about the situation, which is probably why he joined Tinder in April. Swipe right.
UK scientists using IVF method to save northern white rhino. With less than a handful of northern white rhinos left on Earth, a team of UK scientists at a British zoo will try to save the species using a procedure never previously attempted. The 3 remaining northern white rhinos are under round-the-clock protection at a conservation site in Kenya. There are 2 females and 1 elderly male. Due to fertility issues, the females are unable to conceive offspring naturally. As an alternative, sperm will be extracted from the male and eggs from the females. Using the in vitro fertilization method, any fertilized eggs will be implanted in a group of female southern white rhinos, a closely related subspecies, to be brought to term. If this proves unsuccessful, scientists will combine the northern white rhino's sperm with the eggs of the southern white rhinos, in the hope a crossbred embryo will result. In advance of experimenting with northern white rhino samples, the IVF technique will first be tested using southern white rhino sperm and eggs. Creating an embryo outside a rhino has never been done before. If the scientists in England are able to pull this off, it would theoretically mark the first step to reviving the species from the very brink of extinction. The northern white rhino population has been decimated in recent years due to hunting and poaching for its horns.
A record number of rhinos were slaughtered in 2015. The number of rhinos poached in Africa increased for the 6th year in a row, with more than 1,300 killed, the greatest loss in a single year. Wildlife trafficking is the world's 4th largest illegal trade, after drugs, counterfeiting, and human trafficking. In 2015, at least 1,338 rhinos across Africa were killed by poachers for their horns. The illegal trade is fueled by a high demand in China and Vietnam, where the horns are prized for their purported medicinal properties. Sold for about $60,000 a kilo on the black market, rhino horns are more expensive than cocaine and worth more in weight than gold or diamonds. The losses come despite a dedicated conservation effort to combat the slaughter using drones, satellites, radios, and other technology. Experts found that decreasing poaching in one area only led to further poaching elsewhere. So while the number of slaughtered rhinos decreased in South Africa, they quadrupled in Namibia and doubled in Zimbabwe. Rhino poaching is a global concern, affecting not only Africa, but smaller rhino populations in Asia as well. Did man once share the world with giant unicorns? An ancient relative of the rhinoceros, described as a Siberian unicorn, may have walked the earth alongside humans. The giant horned beasts were thought to have become extinct 350,000 years ago. But scientists now say the discovery of a fossilized skull shows Elasmotherem siberiacum only died out 29,000 years ago. A study published in the American Journal of Applied Sciences claims the Siberian unicorn may have lived at the same time as humans. The discovery of a skull in Kazakhstan suggests the creatures died out 29,000 years ago, more than 300,000 years later than previously thought. Researchers found fragments of the giant skull in the Pavlovdar region of northeast Kazakhstan. Fossils suggest the Siberian unicorn stood 2 meters tall, 4.5 meters long, and weighed 4 tons, making it bigger than today's rhinos. Scientists believe the Siberian unicorns were herbivores, and their habitat extended from western Russia to eastern Kazakhstan. One theory is that the south of western Siberia was a refuge for the beasts, which allowed them to survive much longer than similar creatures. Researchers are yet to discover any fossilized horns from the creatures. However, skull fragments show a bony lump that is thought to have supported a keratin horn like those of rhinos today.